Hello once again, the fans of wrestling. It's the ROB, Rob coming at you. Hashtag the real Bobby Munson, and it is Monday, July the 24th, 2017. And last night, on July 23rd, WWE SmackDown Live presented WWE's Battleground pay per view. And here I am with a little bit of a review for you guys. So, to start things off, we had the kickoff show match. This was scheduled between Ty Dillinger and Aiden English, a match that nobody asked for, nobody wanted, but we got anyways. Hard to believe, especially with the popularity of Ty Dillinger, that he continues to be placed in this exact same position time after time, and yet there's also another questionable thing is that a guy with the talent of Dolph Ziggler being left completely off the show at Battleground. Just my thoughts, though. This match here, better than it, I guess, should have been or would have been. I don't know how to go about it. It was an okay match. It was a decent way to start things off. Definitely not something that's going to have everybody buzzing and talking about it. But an upset win with Dillinger taking a loss to Aiden English in this one. Not a bad way to start off the night, but not amazing either at the same time. We move on to the main show, and we have the Usos versus the New Day for the Tag Team Championships. And I'm going to start off by saying, in my opinion, this probably was up there with match of the evening. What a great, fantastic tag team match. The one downfall I found a little bit, maybe a few too many of the near falls, especially after such big moves. While it is exciting at times and stuff like that, I think the near falls could come after moves that don't seem like they should be finishing off the match necessarily. If I have to find one fault with the entire match itself. Other than that, I mean, great back and forth from these two teams, both looking very strong and dominant. So I mean, this was a fantastic match, probably match of the night. New Day picking up the win; they are crowned the new SmackDown Live Tag Champs. I thought that this was going to be left for a bigger moment, maybe on SummerSlam or something like that. Instead, it looks like the feud will carry on into SummerSlam most likely, but this time with the New Day as the tag team champions. So we'll see where it goes from there. Up next, we had Shinsuke Nakamura versus Baron Corbin in a one-on-one match. Couple of heavy sluggers, slugging it out back and forth. Neither guy really, how do I put this? Neither guy really brought their A game necessarily, but they didn't bring their low grade game either. This was a match. It was a match that was placed perfectly on the card. Is the best way to put it. Second on the card. Hard to follow that tag team match, especially. But second on the card, supposed to keep your interest for the rest of the show. So the match itself, not bad. Of course, people a little upset with the ending. Nakamura winning by disqualification when Baron Corbin takes Nakamura to Dick Kick City there. So that was what that was. It wasn't terrible, wasn't great. I'm not going to tell you all to go out and watch this one immediately because there just wasn't a whole lot of memorable moments from it necessarily. So up next was the Fatal 5-Way, the women's match to determine who will take on Naomi at SummerSlam. And can I just point out that Battleground was a really difficult night to call. I think if you go back and listen to my original predictions there, I maybe got the main event right, if I'm lucky. That's about it. I think the rest of the night was really, I think they were trying to go for that shock value on the wins, like, oh my god, we went with this person that nobody expected, and, this kind of thing. That's the sense I got from it, and yet because of I feel like SmackDown has done a poor job building these stories and getting me invested in them. As where, Raw with Great Balls of Fire last month. I mean, it was off the hook. It was memorable. It was talking points. It was everything you wanted in a pay-per-view. And yet, for me, Battleground kind of did not live up to that same sort of hype. Just kind of like SmackDown Live has not been living up to that hype as of late. Anyways, that said, the women's match was not a bad match either. At the same time, I think the biggest problem with it is that we're so burnt out from seeing these 5 women match this, ladder match this. Again, it's fine to use all the women on the roster. You have a very strong roster over on SmackDown, but without any true storyline, being integrated here. It just doesn't have the same kind of investment value that you get in other other matches and stuff like that. So I think they need to really take the focus off of these multi women matches right now and maybe build some storylines. Like, I would not have been hurt by the idea of having multiple women's matches on this particular card and stuff like that had the storylines been built up properly. Would have been an interesting take. Nonetheless, these women brought their all in this match. Again, the match was not the match of the night. It was not the tag match earlier on in the night, but I would say it definitely, a little bit of a step above what we got between Shinsuke Nakamura and Baron Corbin. So yes, this one went the ways of coming down to the last two women being Charlotte and Natalya, and in the end, surprisingly, the one that I thought should win, even though I didn't predict her as the winner, Natalya picking up the win. So we are going to get a presumably Natalya versus Naomi at SummerSlam is the idea. Whether or not Carmella and the Money in the Bank will play any role into that particular scenario has yet to be seen. We'll have to stay tuned to SmackDown in the next coming weeks to find out as that begins to unfold. Now we move on to the United States Championship match between AJ Styles and Kevin Owens. And what was a very strong matchup between the two. We knew these two were going to be able to pull out a great one-on-one wrestling match. Was it quite the show stealer we expected it to be? No, not quite. Unfortunately, this one didn't quite get there. It almost seemed like as it was picking up steam, right when it was getting to the point of like, oh my god, this match is going to be off the hook, amazing, it stopped. There was the referee going out. There was the back and forth between the calf crusher and the crossface, and it was interesting, unique right there. We were starting to get into it. Would have been nice to see them break from that and carry this on a little bit longer. I know that there are time restraints and stuff like that, but it just seemed like this one was just getting to the point where you really want to get invested in it, and then it ends and Owens is the new champion. And that pin, I know that pin is going to come into question. Something's going to be said about it because it looked like both guys had their shoulders down to me from the angle they were showing on the television. I could be wrong. I haven't really gone back to watch it, so I can't say for sure. So, if I am wrong, let me know in the comments or show me a photo, prove to me. But I have a funny feeling you're going to find that the shoulder situation in the end of that match is going to cause for some talk and controversy on SmackDown this week and leading into SummerSlam. So we'll see where it goes. Up next, John Cena versus Rusev in a flag match. I honestly thought this was a perfect opportunity for the WWE to have Rusev go over as this really badass heel, but there was nothing in this. This was a standard SmackDown Live one-on-one Rusev Cena match. Cena wins. You rah America, America's great, blah blah blah. Have we not seen this a million times before? What I wanted to see Rusev take the American flag and drive it, into the neck of Cena as he's got him in the accolade or something along those lines, something that really rubs it home and stuff like that. I would have loved to have seen Rusev running his mouth more about the whole Shane McMahon helicopter situation, which he was doing online, but it seemed like there was no real care, no real fun. I mean, there was a couple of neat spots, but man, for all the hype that Cena did and all the shitting he did on the rest of the card the other night on SmackDown, this match was boring. It was really, really dull, folks. Neither guy seemed like they were into it. Maybe they were, I don't know, but they just did not seem like this was the match they wanted to be stuck with last night, and it really showed, and it came across that way. Definitely not something I was that interested in. Kind of dull and boring in my opinion. So, on from there, we have a return match between Sami Zayn and Mike Kanellis. Again, not a bad match, very much. If you saw them take each other on SmackDown Live, you kind of knew what you were getting yourself into with this particular match. And again, this comes down to the typical 50-50 booking. Here's Mike Kanellis, gets this, what some people would call an upset win over Sami in his debut match on SmackDown. And then a few days later, Sammy returns the favor and gets the win on pay-per-view. Unless all of a sudden you're going to kickstart Sammy into this great storyline where the underdog's finally going to start coming back and working his way to the top, then this booking is no better, if not it's worse than the way Sami Zayn was being booked over on Raw. At least over on Raw, when he get beat by a guy like Braun Strowman or something like that, yeah, okay, it's Braun Strowman. I mean, we get it. The guy's a massive monster, and it's Sami Zayn. But Sami Zayn is on equal ground to a guy like Mike Kanellis and stuff like that. So 50-50 booking would make sense if there wasn't the stipulation that Mike is brand new to the roster. I mean, develop Mike a little bit more. Give him something. I mean, even have Mike Kanellis having take on jobbers for a little while first or something. If he would have taken on some enhancement people for a little bit, we could have had that build up. But, the WWE Universe has not had enough introduction to Mike. They're really relying on, the old school fans knowing who Maria is in order to try to get Mike the attention. But I don't think that this whole gimmick is going to work all that well if this is how you're going to do it, just back and forth 50-50 booking. Either Mike's going to be that heel, that's going to get assisted wins from his wife Maria, or we're going to have situations like this last night where it's right back to it. Sammy takes him to town, beats him clean. Even Maria's interference didn't cause anything at all. So really, in my opinion, not a bad match, but kind of a dull way to do it. I honestly don't think that these two should have been locked in any sort of a feud to start off Mike's SmackDown Live run at all. This is the kind of thing where we needed, like I said again, enhancement people. Mike could have really, gone into a program with Chad Gable, or say with even Ty Dillinger for that matter, kind of thing. I could honestly see that having been something of interest for a little bit. I know Ty Dillinger doesn't seem to lose any fans by eating a loss, and again, eating the losses isn't going to hurt him. As where Sammy needs a few wins under his belt. I think Sammy needs to come on a bit of that underdog comeback, in which it's good to see him pick up a win on pay-per-view. I'm not trying to contradict myself here, but it just seems like those wins against Mike Kanellis, unless you were going to have him beat Mike Kanellis clean both times or something like that to really prove Sammy is on a dominant roll, then there was no point in this booking whatsoever. I honestly think that Sammy could have been on to better things at this point. Even, at this point, why not a feud with Dolph Ziggler, who, I think him and Sammy would have carried a decent feud with each other over this. Anyway, whatever. It's a filler match. It is what it is. And then, last but not least, the Punjabi prison match between Randy Orton and Jinder Mahal. Dare we say best Punjabi prison match ever? Not that that's saying a whole lot, but I guess when in comparison to previous installments of the Punjabi prison, this one was a little bit more entertaining, a little bit more watchable, but at the same time, just I don't know what it is. I just don't find the Punjabi prison that interesting. And the whole time, every time I look at this Punjabi prison, I'm thinking to myself, God, there's a lot of people who could probably fit through those spots on the Punjabi prison itself. And then lo and behold, they used that spot when one of the Singh brothers was capable of doing that. So yes, the Singh brothers getting involved in this particular matchup. Some good back and forth between Jinder and Randy. This probably Jinder looking at his absolute best in this particular match. The spot where the one Singh brother, I'm sorry for not knowing their names, I think it's Samir Singh if I'm not mistaken, when he was fighting with Randy on top of towards the top of the Punjabi prison, and he came off 15 feet high, takes a sick bump off the table. Man, gotta be one of the best spots of the entire night. Man, that guy and tables, those Singh brothers and the announce table. I mean, man, that's almost like their new gimmick. How many different ways can the Singh brothers bounce off the announce table? Go ahead, WWE, book that as a new network show. I think it would be interesting. So just when you think the Singh brothers, they're being taken out of it, and there's no way that Jinder Mahal can pull this off, the obvious happens, and music starts playing, and out comes the slowest man in the history of professional wrestling, the Great Khali. And, oh man, I didn't hate this match, but I can't stand the Great Khali. To me, bringing back the Great Khali just does not do anything. I know that this helps build this stable of sorts with Jinder. It helps keep the title around him, but I don't want to see Khali in a ring. I mean, if Khali's there just as muscle to back Jinder up, sure, I guess. But if this is going to be another push into the ring for the Great Khali, who has no moveset and is probably the worst wrestler that WWE has ever put inside a WWE ring, pretty much. I mean, there have been guys over the history who have been criticized hard, but my God, try telling me that there is a Great Khali match that you can even for a second rewatch and say, oh, you know, it wasn't bad. You know, they're all bad. He is a terrible wrestler. I'm sure he is a great guy. I've heard many great things about him as a person, but my God, were any of us asking for this return? I think not, and we got it anyway. So anyway, this is conclusion. So anyways, Khali causes the interference. Mahal wins. Ends the night. We have no real major talking points. I guess if you consider Khali's return a talking point, so be it. I don't think it's really that big a headline news at all. You know, when comparing to Raw's Great Balls of Fire, which had many great talking points, many wonderful moments, really Battleground didn't have it. You know, we were supposed to get the conclusion of the whole storyline with Breezango. I mean, it was comical, but again, they were attacked, and the finish to their video looked like something out of the Blair Witch Project, so we really still aren't sure, or are we? I don't know. Personally, I think from what I saw in that silhouette of the shadow there, and the style of which they were beaten down and being dragged out, I totally did not think about this, you guys. Luke Harper and Eric Rowan back as a tag team, taking out Breezango. Makes sense. The guys have been off TV for a while. Where have they been? What are they doing with them? I have a funny feeling that's where they're going with this. But let me know what you think. Also, let me know what you thought of Battleground. I'm going to turn around and say this one was a little bit of snoozer. I would think that most people could have avoided this particular one and just watched SmackDown Live, or just avoid it in general and wait till SummerSlam, because honestly, we're going to get better at SummerSlam anyway by the looks of it. So, yeah, that was WWE's Battleground. Not really that thrilling, and not really that surprising that it wasn't that thrilling. So, but anyways, what did you think of Battleground? Let me know in the comments below. Let me know on Twitter as well too. Make sure to retweet this out, or if you're on YouTube, subscribe to my channel, leave me the comments there, and share this around as much as possible. So anyways, I believe that's going to be it for me until probably midweek, after we've seen Raw and SmackDown and what the WWE has to offer this week and what the fallout from Battleground is. So all of you out there, make sure you take care. Now, Top Guys out.